our weekly motivation. Our motivation is designed to encourage you to stay the course if you've been doing well on your health and fitness journey, to inspire you to get up and try again if you fell down somewhere along the way. And if you haven't been able to find a reason to take charge of your health and fitness, we want to motivate you to do so through Jesus Christ. So today's motivation is entitled, You Can't Eat It Away. Everyone on earth either has or will eventually experience something painful, embarrassing, or even harmful during their lives. It's a part of living. Unfortunately, people tend to run from their problems, burying their pain under thinly veiled scars. They learn the hard way that there's nowhere to run to or hide from the past, and they can't dig a hole deep enough to bury it either. This wisdom often comes after they've tried and failed for decades to do just that. Some fight against the hurt they feel by always being on the defensive with hurtful attitudes, bitterness, and resentfulness. Then there are those who turn away from the world by closing themselves off from people to avoid being hurt again. Others bury their feelings by self medicating with drugs, alcohol, and even food. No matter which road is taken, the result is always the same. You still have to deal with the hurt, pain, and embarrassment you tried to leave behind in your own strength. The only place to run is to the Lord. He is your supernatural comforter. There is no hurt that He can't heal. Stop using food as your crutch to get through hard times and lean on the God who can actually carry you through them and heal your pain along the way. If you or someone you know has tried to eat the pain away or suffered from an eating disorder, purchase your copies of the Eating as an Act of Worship workbook and the Eating as an Act of Worship Teachers Edition online today at Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. In the books, you'll learn the biblical principles about the body, dieting, exercising, and maintaining a healthy body for the glory of God. Read our blog for motivation to stay healthy and fit through Christ, and follow us daily on Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, and Pinterest for recipes and diet and exercise tips. You can also tune into our syndicated radio show on iTunes, Spotify, The Narrative Matters, Studio W Buzz radio station, and Victory, KVDW 100.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and 1530 AM in Little Rock, Arkansas for interviews and health and fitness trends. Lastly, make your tax deductible donation to Eating as an Act of Worship Ministries at www.eatingasanactofworshipministries.org. All right, everybody, that's your motivation for this week. We hope and pray it encourages you to stay the course if you've been doing well on your health and fitness journey, that it inspires you to, get up and try again if your cheat day turned into a, cheat month. And if you haven't been able to find a reason to get motivated to become healthy and fit, we want to motivate you to do so today through Jesus Christ. So please do, ma'am and sir, especially the sirs out there, take care of yourselves. For those of you who tune in regularly, you know that we try to make sure that we keep up with what's going on out in the world. And what's going on out in the world this month is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Um, Excuse me, normally we have people on who are actually prostate cancer survivors, but this particular time it is a special edition because we're going to talk about prostate cancer in terms of prevention and getting tested. And for that, we had to bring in somebody who has to be prodded and basically almost tortured into going to get tested. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm messing with William. But before we get to introducing him, I want to tell you a little bit about prostate cancer. According to the Mayo Clinic's website, prostate cancer is a type of cancer that occurs in the prostate, which is a small walnut shaped gland in males that produces the seminal fluid that nourishes and transports sperm. Prostate cancer is one of the most common types of cancer. Many prostate cancers grow slowly and are confined to the prostate gland where they may not cause serious harm. However, while some types of prostate cancer grow slowly and may need minimal or even no treatment, other types are aggressive and can spread quickly. Prostate cancer that's detected early, when it's still confined to the prostate gland, has the best chance for successful treatment. So prostate cancer may cause no symptoms or symptoms may cause no signs or symptoms in its early stages, excuse me. But that's prostate cancer that's more advanced may cause signs and symptoms such as trouble urinating, decreased force in the stream of urine, blood in the urine, blood in the semen, bone pain, losing weight without trying, and erectile dysfunction. You should make an appointment with your doctor if you have any persistent signs or symptoms that worry you. So, how does William fit into this? Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about my friend William. He is a stockbroker, an entrepreneur, a radio personality, the owner and CEO of Studio W Buzz radio station, and my big headed older brother. As you can see, we love to play around here at the radio station. But William can attest to the fact that every year when we talk about prostate cancer, I browbeat him about going to get tested. Is
Mhm.
that correct, William?
I guess this is a cue to turn my camera on. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, all right.
You could have left it on. I didn't say don't turn your camera on. I said close your mouth till I
Oh,
get through with the introductions. I'm just playing.
no,
But I did say turn off your
yeah.
camera. You
She
just
meant
did
all
that
of
on
it.
your own. But welcome to the show, my friend. And I do browbeat you every time about getting a prostate cancer exam, don't I?
Well, this is true for years, for years, for years. And I tell you, well, thank you again, Ann. I do feel like I made it to the big time, making it to the Eden as an Active Worship Ministries radio show. Yes. Oh, man. Oh, good gracious. You know,
Well, I'm glad to have you here. Thank you for being here.
well, wait, look, I'm glad to be here. But you said a lot, and yes, you do browbeat me each and every year. Get your prostate check, get a check, get a check. And and let me go back just a little bit. Growing up, I was always, and have been for the most part, extremely healthy. My weight was always intact. I did a lot of running and exercising while playing sports and things of that nature.
Mhm.
However, I took a lot of things for granted.
Don't we
I
all?
would, people would say, man, I wish I had your weight. I could eat everything, and I know you can eat everything. And I took pride in it. Yep, I can eat anything. It doesn't matter. But folks, I'm
Mhm.
gonna tell you, life has and age has a thing of called catch up. It
Yes,
catches
sir.
up to you. It does catch up to you. And so recently, I had a bout. I went to the hospital a few weeks ago, and they thought it was one thing, then they thought it was another, and they thought it was this and then and that the other. First, they thought it was a UTI, urinary tract infection. Then they thought it was maybe a kidney infection. Then they said, "Oh, well, let's check your prostate as well," because I was having
Mhm.
some symptoms that some things just weren't right. Wasn't feeling right. Didn't want to eat, and just tired all the time, and then so this discomfort that comes along with a UTI or any of those things, you guys who have gone through that, exactly what it meant. But while I was thinking about you, and when they did a PSA test,
Yep. Mhm.
yes, and when it came back normal, I said, "Thank God, thank God, thank God," you know, for that, and I was
Amen.
glad.
Amen.
I,
Amen.
I, I was glad that they tested for that because I had
Mhm.
one done a few years ago, and it
Mhm.
came back negative that there was no issues there.
Mhm.
And she teases me because the old way they used to do it. In some cases, I guess they still do it where the men have to go to the exam room and you have to bend over for the doctor. He put the gloves on and the KY jelly and boy, and teased me. She always say, "Oh, you little baby, you little baby." and, and I would probably say, and look, you could call me or say whatever you want, but the doggone doctor's his fingers were too big. And
Right, right.
so I said, thank God for the PSA. Yes, stick a needle in my arm. Draw whatever you want to draw, but
Right.
bending over the table, that is, oh my God. I used to dread that each and every time I had to do it, right? And
And
so,
that's what makes men babies because women do that starting in their teenage years.
uh,
Soon as
uh,
you start menstruating, they start not, not just fingers, they put instruments inside your most
ooh,
private places and then they pop it open and
ooh,
then they
boy.
scrape the insides. I had one doctor who loved to check my ovaries and so he would squeeze them from the outside of my body really hard to make sure that they're
Whoa.
yeah that they're healthy.
Mm,
So
mm.
that was painful and I'm like this goes on for women for like 30 years straight.
You know, I would be the first to say, yeah, we are wimps when it comes to that. I can't think of any man that I know that would want to have a baby. Okay, so you get the highest respect from me, my sister. Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so
Men,
glad.
hey, look, you guys, you macho guys out there, yeah. You know when you go in the closet, sometimes you do cry over what some things, right? And
In secret what nobody will ever know.
that's right. And you come out, your chest all out and everything like you a macho guy, man. Cut that out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Okay, no, I'll tell you in a minute. Oh no, I have great respect for women. That's why I don't understand. That's a whole different subject for another day. How any man cannot respect a woman with everything that women go through. No,
Mhm,
and I
mhm.
hear about the breast exams. How they
I was
squeeze.
gonna say that starts in the 40s, right when you get to the point where you're getting ready to leave behind them popping open, your vaginal area to scrape the insides to chest for possible cancers. Then they decide, oh yeah, but now we need to put your breast into this torture machine where
Mm,
we
mm,
press
mm,
it down really hard from very unnatural angles. So
mm, mm.
yeah, just to make sure you don't have breast cancer, So yeah,
Right.
we deal with quite a bit, and now that it's y'all's turn, you want to be big babies about it. They got to come up with a test for you so you won't be so upset about getting
That's
prodded.
right. That's right. I would do that in it. I would do that monthly if I had to. No, I have
Wow.
no problem with that other than the other thing. But something that you said to me several years back in 2017,
Mhm.
and I was on and with your show, Eden as an Actor Worship Ministries radio show. Obviously, I'm a fan of the broadcast,
Okay.
and you were telling me one time. I was saying, hey, and we were talking. I was driving, and I said, "Oh, I'm hungry. I need to stop and get something to eat." And you had to ask the question, "So, what are you eating?"
Mhm.
I said, "Okay, I'm going to In and Out Burger. They have the best burgers and the fries and chocolate milkshake." You said, really, really?" And so, would you believe it? That so I would have got my my double cheeseburger, fries, and my chocolate shake. Oh man, I was great.
Mm.
A few days later, I'm in the hospital.
Ain't my fault. That's not
I
my
said,
fault.
"Doggone it, Ann,
That's
doggone it."
not my fault.
And so I would tell you guys a little story. So I used to pass by that place often,
Mhm.
and after that stay at the hospital,
Mm.
I would look over to the left where the shop was. I mean, where the store was, and I had there were two ants on my side on my shoulders. Imagine this. This was the devil ant said, "Hey, go in there, pull on in there." Okay, pull in there. You guys seen those cartoons, right? And then on the
Yeah, we've seen
right shoulder, this other one said, "You know what happened last time?" So I kept on driving. I kept on, oh my God. And
Sometimes you
because
learn the
of
hard way.
yeah, and because me being well, I would put part of it being a bachelor because as bachelors, we get a lot of fast foods or what's the quickest thing to get something to eat, and it may not necessarily be the healthiest thing, and in most
Right,
cases, it's not. Hot dogs, hamburgers, whatever is good, pizza, whatever's there, right?
right.
And but I tell you that did make an impact with me as well as this last stint. I've changed a
Mhm,
lot of things. As far as my diet is concerned, I had changed back then, but I had to do more drastic changes here now, and it's all for the good.
right,
It's
right.
all for the good. So your program and is valuable. I know you talk about diet often, health often, but you also have some great guests on, and you guys covered a myriad of topics. But back to men taking care of themselves, ladies, yeah, I'll be the first to admit that we don't.
Mm,
And those things can compile and can cause some serious problems down the road.
mhm,
As far as your diet is concerned, because when I see my doctor now, she wants to know, well, what are you eating? You know,
mhm,
what are you taking in your body? You know, which is a very, very important thing. So that's why, again, I want to thank you for having me on because we do need to pay attention to that. Otherwise, then we'll have to look for people to take care of us, and that's not a
mhm.
situation that any one wants to be in, as far as I'm
Exactly,
concerned. Yes.
exactly. And men especially you know, women don't like being taken care of either, but men especially can be so bad when it's patients. Y'all either are big babies or
Mm-hmm.
just oh my gosh, just mean sometimes. My dad, when I was young, he had a bunch of heart attacks, and we found out
Mm.
after he died that there was an issue with his heart because he was exposed to Agent Orange when he was in the army and
Mm-hmm.
um, during the Vietnam War. But whenever he had to go to the VA and he was admitted into the hospital, the nurses hated to see my daddy come in because he was one of the worst patients. And it didn't help that once upon a time he was a CNA at the VA, so he knew, as a CNA nurse, kind of the ins and outs of what goes on in the hospital. And so I remember being in there one time visiting him, and the nurse came in to give him some medication, and he looked at her and he said, "What's that?" She said, "Mr. Wooten, this is just the so and so and the so and so that your doctor prescribed him." I ain't taking that. Liz, that's my mama's name. Baby, give me my bag. He kept all his medicine in a bag. And I mean, literally a plastic bag that he took everywhere with him to go. That's how much medication he was on. And he said, "Give me my so and so pills." And the nurse said, "Mr. Who, we can't let you take your own pills. I'm not paying you $5 for that one pill. Give me my pill out of my bag." And he took the medicine that he had with him. And my mom was like, "You're not gonna win this one. Just let him have it. Otherwise it's gonna get worse." But
Right.
but when I say that, then you have on the other hand, the ones that want to be all babied and want you to do every little thing for them. So when it comes to taking care of men, women, I feel your pain. First of all, just getting them to go to the doctor can be
Yeah.
can be a nightmare. And then
Challenging.
on top of that, um, getting them to take care of themselves is something else, because they may be like the part of the story Williams leaving out where he was trying to, self help himself with all the, what was that, prune juice and cranberry juice, whatever you were drinking.
Cranberry juice. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because he really believed he just had a UTI, and because it's what the first doctors told him, and that's another thing, being your own advocate, because people get stuff wrong. That includes folks with MD after their names, and so they told William, I think twice, that you only had a urinary tract infection
Yeah.
and
So
take you
yeah,
2 pounds
twice.
of
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they told me twice that they thought it was a UTI, and so
Mhm.
they prescribed these antibiotics. And after a couple of weeks, I was feeling great again.
Mhm.
And then right after that, it was downhill, and I went back, and so they prescribed them again.
Mhm.
And so I'm feeling great. Okay, a couple of weeks go by, then all of a sudden this comes back. I says, "Wait a minute, hold it. I've taken all the medication on time, the way you told me to take it. What's going
Mhm.
on?" And so you're right. And so my daughter, I was saying, my daughter's called. She called me. Says, "Hey, Dad, how you feeling?" I said, I'm feeling kind of yucky, you know." I
Mhm.
said, "No real pain, not the discomfort that I was feeling before." So she said, um, "But I said, my appetite isn't good, my energy isn't good." So she says, "You need to go to the emergency room." Oh, women, hold it. Like you said, and we don't like to go to the doctor.
Mm-mm.
We
Mm-mm.
hate to go to the doctor, you know. And I'm saying,
Mhm.
okay, tell you what, if I don't feel much better by tomorrow, then I'll go. So that Friday, she took me to the emergency room. I'm sitting around 8 hours later, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm in
Mm.
this emergency room for 8 hours. Now, throughout, they're running different tests and things of that nature, but
Well,
sitting up
that's
there 8 hours, and you can't get comfortable in those seats. I mean, it's
mm.
kind of hard to get comfortable. I had my headphones on, they helped a little bit because I was listening to music and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
8 hours later, so finally I get to see a doctor. So, when a doctor asks you, says, got any plans this weekend?
That's a bad sign.
That's a bad sign. I said, women, hold it. Instead of answering outright, I asked him a question. I said, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "What I mean is that you're not going home." I said,
Wow.
"Holy smokes. Oh
Wow.
my." And by the time I finally got my hospital bed, it was 3 a.m. in the morning. So I'm up
Yeah.
all this time, right? I'm up all this time. So the nurse comes in. She's a very, very sweet nurse, very sweet. She came in and she started asking a host of questions. I looked around and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And so, I'm really not a bad patient. I'm not one of those that I'm not one of those that will give the nurses or doctors a hard time.
So he
Okay, some
says.
men out there, they're taking whatever's going on with them out on the doctor or the nurse. See,
Mhm.
well, I don't believe in slapping that person that is taking care of you or trying
Right.
to insult them. Now, you don't do that. So,
Right.
but what I did ask her, I said, you know, the questions, this is pretty extensive.
Mhm.
The amount of questions that you're asking me. I said it in a nice way. She said, "Oh, I I think you probably need to get some sleep, huh?" I said, "Yeah, that'll help a little bit." You know, but no, it's no
Go to the
fun.
nurse and ask her how she feels. William behaved as a patient.
I had to behave myself, because you don't want anybody poisoning you up in there because
Right.
okay,
Right. Right.
but no, but it was very nice. The care was excellent, and there was the uh, facilities that I use. They are it's VCU. I don't mind saying that, and they are. It's a teaching hospital,
Mhm.
and they are very extensive and very thorough about what they do, and the way the atmosphere there is quite different. They have a positive, uplifting type of attitude to doctors and the nurses, and they help. They're all really, really great people there. But anyway, I think what you're getting at, and I'm not suggesting that I know what you're about to say next, but prevention. That's an old saying that prevention is worth a pound of cure. An answer of
Mhm.
prevention is worth a pound of cure, rather. And that is that we really need to start paying closer attention to what we eat, what we drink, what we're doing, uh, with our bodies, because it's going to manifest itself one way or the other. And if we live in the lifestyle of a bachelor like I was, or am rather, well, I cut back a little bit, just having fun, eating anything you want, drinking whatever you want, or doing whatever you want, it can catch up to you. And so
Mhm.
I think it's important that we do start paying attention to it. We might feel great today, but we also need to preserve some of that for tomorrow as far as how we treat our bodies.
Speaking of prevention, and how to eat in order to keep yourself healthy, the Prostate Cancer Foundation has, for the month of September, they've been having a sort of a challenge that they call "Eat It to Beat It" hashtag
Mm-hmm.
Eat It to Beat It, and it's 30 foods for 30 days. So we're telling you about it late, but that doesn't mean you still can't do it on your own. So all you need to do is go to pcf.org.
Mm-hmm.
That's PCF for Prostate Cancer Foundation.org. And you'll get more information about hashtag Eat It to Beat It, which will talk to you about, um, ways that you can eat healthy and exercise to prevent a number of chronic diseases,
Mm-hmm.
not just prostate cancer, but eating healthy helps your heart. It keeps you from getting diabetes, having strokes, lots of different things that you don't want in your life, like high cholesterol. So, healthy eating helps with those conditions, helps to prevent those conditions. So don't forget to visit pcf.org for more information about how to prevent, through your diet, through exercise, getting prostate cancer and all kinds of other things that can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And don't give your wives, your girlfriends, your moms, your daughters, your sisters, even friends like William and I are friends, been friends for good years. Don't give them a hard time when they are encouraging you, especially you bachelors,
Mm-hmm.
who have women in your lives who are, who you can easily get away from because you don't live with them as your wives and daughters. So you can leave the nagging behind. But when they do see you, they're like, "Did you get it? Did you get it?" And you run away because you don't want to do it. Don't give them a hard time. If they
Right.
didn't care, they would not mention it. They wouldn't tell you, you need to go get your prostate checked. You need to make
Well,
sure.
yeah, I think as far as things that men don't need, that nagging got to be up on the list too. It's got to be up
You know what? What you need to understand when it comes to nagging is that very often it takes two participants, because if somebody tells you to do something and you don't do it, then you
there.
are kind of forcing that conversation to come back around again.
Yeah, forcing it. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Because if I
absolutely.
ask you, did you get it done? And I know you didn't, because I can tell it ain't been done.
Right. Because you called the doctor. Because you called the doctor.
Well, I mean, just anything, whether we're talking about putting up the Christmas tree, fixing something that broke, whatever it is. Did you go to the bank? You know what I'm saying? If I
Yeah.
know it hadn't been done, and I'm politely asking, did you do so and so and so and so, and then you like,
Right.
don't want, avoid it, get it done. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to nag you about it. I don't want to say it over and over again. I just want it to be done. So
Right.
if it's something like you taking care of yourself, that's worth the effort of repeating over and over and over again, and dealing with you having attitude about it. Because at
Well.
the end of the day, it'll be like when you went to that In and Out burger and I told you get something
Right.
else to eat. Well, I suggested in my own way that you get something else to eat, and
Well,
that
you
was not
did.
by me being silent and saying
Yeah. No, actually, you did a little bit more than that. You said, "Do you know what it was? Those French fries, how they process, and the hamburgers and the guy." Yeah, you went on for a little bit. Oh yeah, I remember. I don't remember verbatim what you said, but it was more than just an The preceded the lecture. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. But I can tell you a little story here recently. So, I mean, hospital food. I don't care how great the facility is. Uh, it's not the tastiest. Let's put it like this. Especially
Right.
if they put you on a heart health. Is it a heart health diet?
Heart
They put you
healthy,
on.
heart healthy
Yeah,
diet.
where the food comes back bland.
Hmm.
And so this is what I did. So I called up my daughter, and I said, "Okay, Nick. All right, this is what I want you to do. Okay. I want you to go to my favorite barbecue place and bring
Mhm.
me two barbecue sandwiches. Okay.
You wouldn't have got nothing.
and and I need some chips and bring me three ice cold Pepsis, you
Mm-mm.
know. And I said, and go by the house and get my salt and pepper shaker,
Bruh.
and and some other stuff, right? So
Mhm.
my daughter, she has permission to talk to my doctors, right?
Mhm.
So she said, "Okay, Dad, I got you covered." Okay. What I should have thought, I should have picked up on the translation there. Yeah, Dad, let me think about it. So what she did, she called my doctor
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
said, "Is my dad supposed to have barbecue
Barbecue with
sandwiches and
chips.
potato chips and salt?" And the doctor said, "Absolutely not." So my daughter comes up. She had this bag with her.
Mhm.
And I'm looking for her, and she started pulling out. Okay, here's your change of clothing here that you requested, and here,
Mhm.
your blah 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 blah. And I'm looking. I said, okay, where are my barbecue sandwiches? Nope, nope, Dad, you're not getting them. I said, what? Now, my daughter is probably like you. She doesn't care if you get an attitude or not.
Mm-mm.
you know.
Get
And
mad.
I think she would have been a great doctor and or a great nurse, but her
Mhm.
bedside manner is it's a lot to be desired there. Nope, you ain't get. I said, what about my chips? Nope. Pepsis? Nope. Salt and pepper shaker? Nope. I said,
Mm.
good Lord here. Okay.
Right. I brought you water. I got you some bananas.
Yeah, she
Some
did bring the
mango.
bananas.
Look, I wasn't even there, and I know you.
Yeah.
That was just me saying what I would do. Good job, Nick. Good job, Nick.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew you'd be on her side. And then she's always constantly checking. Okay, how you feeling today? What did you eat? Okay. And also, I can't say it was a mistake. I gave her my card, my debit card, to go by the grocery store for me.
Mhm.
Ah, boy. And so everything she bought was according to what my doctor had told her and what she thought. Like I said, she does a lot of studying as far as health is concerned, dieting is concerned, things of that nature. Quite knowledgeable, quite knowledgeable. And I checked what she does or what she suggests versus what the doctor suggests, and she's right on point there. But
Mhm.
as far as her giving in to me because I'm her dad, it didn't matter to her. She
Mm-mm.
says, no, I'd rather have you around than for me to
Right.
get into you because this is what you want. You're not getting your barbecue sandwiches.
Mm-mm.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
enough of
what?
that. Mm-mm.
I'm just thinking, I just paid for two barbecue sandwiches. And so, I told her, I said, okay, you and your boyfriend have fun with my sandwiches, all right? Yeah, let's go ahead.
They gave them to somebody homeless that was hungry.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, and I was thinking, I said, and boy, those Pepsis and the sandwiches, boy, that's gonna be good. All right,
Mhm.
I could watch the game tonight. I could, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have a good time, right?
Mhm.
Ah, absolutely crazy. But
Well, at least you tried to get somebody else to do it. I want my dad. He was at the VA in Memphis when I was growing up, and there was a what do you call it? A gas station like right across the street from the VA. And one of my uncles, he loves to tell this story. He's like, my dad, he was visiting my dad's hospital, and he's like, let's go for a walk. And so they get so he helped dad to get up out of bed, and they went for a walk. He said, next thing you know, they outside. Next thing you know, they crossing the street. And daddy's at the gas station buying cigarettes. And he's like, you gonna get me in trouble. Because he's married to this is my uncle, I think Uncle Kelvin's.
mhm,
He's like, you gonna get me in trouble. And it's like, it'll be all right. Daddy, like, it'll be all right. Because he
right,
don't care. He know he gonna clown right back when somebody goes off on him about going to the store to get some cigarettes you are in the hospital after having a heart attack. But
Right.
that's that's the kind of patient that you all can be from time to time. It's like, look, right now, if for no other time, just at this moment, while you are feeling bad, can you at least do right? You know what I'm saying? Just for
Hmm.
a few minutes. I'm not saying I'm jaded enough to think you're gonna do it for the rest of your life, but for a few minutes, while we are sick and laid up in the hospital, can we please just eat the bananas and be quiet? Just not
Yeah.
smoke cigarettes and be quiet. You
Eat the bananas. Yep, that's all. I had the bananas and the fruit. So yeah, I ate as much fruit as I wanted
right,
to, right?
right.
And bananas. I mean, including bananas and things of that nature. But outside of that, and they give you this. Oh my God, what's this stuff called? Is it Mrs. Dash? Uh,
Yes, that's a salt
seasoning.
substitute. Hmm.
That is the nastiest stuff. I
Well,
said
I'll tell you what you can do instead, William. Get some potassium salt. You use when
potassium salt.
Yes, it's a very good substitute because on the one hand, most people have way too much sodium and a lot less potassium than they need. So it gives you more potassium, which helps to level out, even up, your body in terms of your sodium to potassium ratio, which is much better for your heart. And then on top of that, you don't have to use as much of it. You use much less potassium salt in order to get, the flavor that you want. Because if you use too much of it, it'll taste bitter. So you don't want to use too much. You
Yeah.
want to use
Okay.
just a little bit.
They had some stuff a while back called almost salt. It was nasty. I mean, it was worse than Mrs. Dash. It was oh my, it was awful. And so the potassium salt, you said, does that taste like salt or does it have a whole different flavor to it?
Well,
I mean,
it's it can taste like salt if you use it in small enough quantities. You can't use a
mhm,
lot of it, just a little. And another thing you can do is get foods that are naturally rich in sodium, that so they
mhm.
have kind of a little of of a salt flavor. I think, is it parsley? Celery, I'll have to look it up and so I can give you some ideas. But when you taste
Yes.
those foods, especially if you haven't had salt, like if you've been off salt for a while, you can you can taste that they have a little bit of a salty flavor to them. Now, like I said, you gotta be off salt for a while. It's kind of like people who
Mm,
don't think fruit is sweet until they have been off sugar for a while, and you can then taste the fact that fruit
mm.
actually is sweet because
Right?
you're not getting these, you know, really
Potassium.
large quantities of sugar in your system all the time. So yeah, but let me see. Foods with naturally with have sodium, and I'll let you know what those are. Um, anyway,
Right. You know,
I want you to also tell people about, you mentioned that you had another hospital stay after the In and Out burger thing, and that in particular has to do with what you eat, because it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's something called diverticulitis.
yes,
Um,
diverticulitis. Oh my
mhm,
God, worst pain that I've ever had in my life. And it's an inflammation of the intestines.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And not only that, I think it can cause you to have some, is it holes in your
It
intestines?
can. It can. I don't think mine wasn't. I mean, the pain was real,
Mhm.
and some people who have that condition, they have to. It requires surgery. It
Mm,
require,
mm,
and I think there's something diverticulitis and diverticulosis, two different
mhm,
things, but they are related in a sense that I think diverticulosis, that's where you have blood in your stool and also in your urine as well. The diverticulitis is basically an inflammation of the intestines, and the pain therein is excruciating. I
Yes.
mean, it is so. As a matter of fact, I drove myself back there. This is 2017. Drove myself to the emergency room, and the doctor, similar to this last one, want to know if I had any plans. He said, "This one asked me, uh, well, did you drive here?" I said, "Oh shucks, what is he asking me here?" And I
Mhm.
and he talking to you're talking to somebody who has spent very little time in the hospital throughout my entire life. Like I said,
Mhm.
I growing up just reasonably healthy, eating practically anything I wanted, and just having the time of my life. So, but the doctor says, "Well, did you drive here?" I knew what that meant. I
Mhm.
knew that I wasn't going home then, you know, and it was just absolutely horrible, a horrible thing. And I went through that for about and lost a lot of weight, a weight that
Mhm.
I haven't gotten back since. But no, seriously, seriously. But
Mhm.
no, it is horrible. Again, that is not really paying attention to what you're eating. Like I say, eating everything: hamburgers, French
Mhm.
fries. I mean, just anything that I wanted to. You know,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
there are certain things that I wouldn't eat. I stopped eating several decades ago. Just like a lot of pork products, I don't eat, like chitlins. No, you can forget that. Pig ears, pig feet. I'm not eating that mess. Not doing it. Right? I never have.
Mhm.
But boy, I'll take some slabs. I mean, some bacon and slap it on a hamburger in a second. Or BLT. Oh yeah, I love those
Mhm.
types of things, or ham and stuff like that. But overindulging can cause some serious consequences down the road. It may not show up for months, years, and years, or even decades. But eventually, it's just like
Mhm.
anything like that. If you are a sculptor and you keep chipping away for that rock, eventually, you're gonna get the desired results or not. It will chip away. In other words, we can chip away at our own health. That's what I'm trying to say by not uh, eating properly. We can deteriorate.
Right.
We can cause
Right.
some deterioration as far as our health is concerned. So, yep, little sis, I've been listening to you, and I do agree. You and my daughter, I think that you guys are related somehow because uh,
We are Adam and Eve. Go all the way back to Adam and Eve. We're all related.
we're all related. But I'm
Right.
talking about in your demeanor, and I was thinking
Mhm.
also, I'm glad to have people like you in my life versus those. Let's say if I had a daughter or a friend that says, "Oh yeah, you can smuggle that into the hospital, or you can get that in." And what if
Yeah.
I had the type of daughter that says, "Okay, Dad, I got you covered. The doctor doesn't want you to have this, but I'm gonna get it to you." I'm
Right.
thinking that no, I don't want that type of daughter. I want the
Right.
type of daughter that I have, and friends like you that I have. That says, "Oh no, you're not having it. You're not going to eat it. You're not
Mhm.
going to get it. You can pout, you can kick, you can scream, do whatever you want, but nope." And
Exactly.
I do. I can make jokes about it. I can even complain about it. But I much rather have people like you and my daughter in my life than someone who's just going to succumb to my wishes. Because they think that I'm gonna be upset if I don't get those things. Well, I'm going to say, let me get upset because I realize that
Mhm.
people like you and Nikki, do you have my best interest at heart? Instead of
Right. Right.
succumbing or placating me, or just because I'm going to pout my lips or whatever it is. But actually,
Mhm.
I'm sensitive. I have sense enough to know that even though I want these things, if someone tells me, no, you shouldn't have this because of this reason, I may not
Mhm.
like it, but I'm going to listen. And also, I'm going to hear to that because it
Mhm.
makes all the sense in the world, right? And I don't want to subtract years from my life. And I don't want to
Mhm.
subtract years from living a happier, healthy life either. So
Right.
no matter what I want, I do want what's best.
It's funny you mentioned that because a few months before my dad died, my grandfather died. So I mean, we had a lot of people
Mm,
die close close in time to each other. And uh, it was funny. My I went home. My dad wanted me to help him with the funeral arrangements. So I was like, okay. And at that time, Dad had diabetes and COPD, so he shouldn't have been eating half the stuff he was eating, and he wanted
Mhm.
all this crap to eat. And I was like, my mom and I went to the grocery store, and Daddy wanted this and that. He got on Mama's nerves to the point where she's like, I'm not gonna argue with him anymore. I'm just gonna get him what he wants. I
Mm.
was like, Daddy's not eating that. So I bought some zucchini and squash and a rotisserie chicken and some stuff for salad.
Uh-huh.
And we went home and I cooked dinner and Daddy had a fit. Oh, he went all the way out. What is this? I don't eat no zucchini and squash. Liz, you know I don't eat this. What's this girl got in there? And I ignored him. I'm like, we gonna eat this zucchini. We gonna eat this squash. We gonna eat this rotisserie chicken. And if you don't like it, you gonna have to get up off the couch and go get something else because I'm not doing it. And Mom, I told you, I'm like, I don't care. At the end of the day, I will not put the bullets in the gun for you. If you want to hurt
Hey,
yourself, you will do it by yourself. I will
absolutely.
not help you do it. I'm so sorry. But you mentioned that you had diverticulosis with inflammation. I had a friend who got diverticulosis like in her late 20s, early
Wow.
30s, something like
Right.
that. And she literally had holes in her
Wow.
intestines. And so she would be in the hospital. She had to learn, not to eat stuff like sesame seed buns,
Right.
nuts, none of that, because if anything blocked her intestines, she would be in crippling
Wow.
pain. So when we say, you need to learn how to prevent this type of stuff by eating healthy now.
Mhm.
Um, we mean that because you don't want to be forced to learn how to eat. We talk about this in the Eating as an Act of Worship Ministries class. It's like, are you an absolutist by force or by choice?
Right.
And there's some people who are all or nothing because it's the way that they choose to live their lives. Then there are those who are all or nothing because they have to live their lives like that. So if you know, can't have sugar because you got diabetes, then that's forcing you. You know what I'm saying? To
Right.
live your life a certain way. And it's the same thing, with other chronic conditions. You will either choose to make healthier choices on your own. And then if you do that, more than likely from time to time you'll be able to eat something that's not on your diet plan every now and then, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, your birthday, something like that. You'll be able to have something that's off script. But
Mhm.
when you don't make the right choices on a regular basis, then a choice will be made for you.
Right.
And that's what you do not want, because then it gets to the point where you probably won't ever be able to have that kind of stuff again. But William, I found what I was mentioning. According to WebMD, sodium is a mineral that occurs naturally in many of the foods we eat. Sodium chloride or salt is the most common type of sodium found in nature, and it's also the type of sodium you'll find in food. Unfortunately, most of our dietary sodium comes from the processing of the foods we eat, and that's why we get way too much of it. But
Mhm.
if you want low sodium alternatives, especially natural ones, your best bet: fruits and vegetables.
Mm.
Fresh and frozen fruits and vegetables generally contain low amounts of sodium. For example, a half cup serving of beets gives you just 65 milligrams of sodium while boosting your health with iron, potassium, and folate.
Mhm.
Broccoli has just 15 milligrams of sodium per half cup, while citrus fruits don't have any at all. So you will have, some things that are higher in sodium than others, but the reason why there is salt in those things is because God made you with a biochemical component. So you need stuff like sodium, you need stuff like potassium. But if you notice, God only put a little bit of salt in the vegetables because He
Hmm.
knows He created you to only need a little bit of it. And we go crazy and put a whole lot in it. So, what I'm saying is, when you divorce yourself from salt, just like when you divorce yourself from sugar, you are able to um taste the salt that's in the other foods. I remember when I first stopped eating a whole lot of salt, um, and it felt like I had used way too much salt in the food. I'm like, I didn't add any salt. I know I did, but
Hmm.
that's because there was enough salt in what I have because of it, a lot of meats that you use will have salt in it. So if you use other ingredients, especially processed ingredients that already contain the salt, you'll be able to see just how much you are getting. It will taste entirely too salty.
Hmm.
Um, because you've gotten to the point where, you know what? This isn't as bland as I thought it was because you're used to putting so much more salt in it than what you need. That when you don't get a whole lot of it, it just tastes ugh. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, so at any rate, William, I see you putting your head down and not paying me any attention, but
No, no, I'm listening to you because I have a question for you.
okay.
But I want you to finish that because I have a question to ask you about potassium. And no, continue. I had my head down because I was looking at something, some
Uh,
research. Okay, go on.
Okay. Okay. No, no, I'm done. That's all I wanted to say is that
Okay.
when when you are eating um overeating sugar, when you're overeating salt, and it's very easy to do because they put excessive amounts of sugar and salt in everything. It's very difficult to taste when something is naturally sweet, when something is naturally salty.
Right.
And it's not until you cut back, and I would say cut back for a while. Give yourself at least 30 days. For me with salt, it didn't take that long.
Right. Right.
It was pretty immediate when I could tell other things were extremely salty. But then again, I had been eating a different way for a longer period of time. So this was just an extra step for me, cutting out
Mm.
the salt.
My
Um,
thing, yeah, even growing up, I've always been a consumer.
mhm,
Well, we all are consumers of salt in one way or the
mhm,
other, right? But
mhm.
more excessively, I would say excessive because I would put salt on everything. Give me an apple, I'll put salt on it.
Right.
Okay. Give me some watermelon. I'm putting salt on it. Right.
Mhm,
I mean,
right.
that's the type of salt eater that I am, but not to the degree that I was because, uh, a couple of visits to the hospital, you tend to change your thinking about a lot of things. But what I
Right.
wanted to ask you about, and one thing that the doctors told me the day I was supposed to be released,
Mhm,
and because I was asking, "Am I going to be released today?" They said your potassium level is too high,
mhm,
and
mhm,
unless we can get that down, no, you're not going home.
mhm.
And I'm thinking, what I've heard of potassium. I don't
Right.
know the good, the bad, the ugly, or anything about it, right? But I was just looking
Mhm,
at it while you were talking. I wasn't ignoring you, but I wanted to ask you that question because I know we have a few minutes left to go on the show. And having what I'm reading right now, and you can probably, I want you to chime in on this and give us your opinion about this. Too low, if your potassium is too low,
mhm,
this can cause you to feel lightheaded or faint. A very low blood potassium level can even cause your heart to stop. I didn't know that. A
mm,
larger decrease can cause muscle weakness. A larger decrease can cause muscle weakness, cramping, twitches,
mhm,
and even paralysis. Uh,
mhm,
too, yeah, conversely, too much, a normal blood pressure level for adults is between 3.5 and 5.5 millimoles per liter. A level
mhm,
above 5.5 mmol is is considered high. A level
Mhm.
above 6.5 mmO/L can be dangerous and requires immediate medical attention. High potassium levels can lead to complications such as weakness, arrhythmia, heart disorder that can affect the rate of your rhythm or heartbeats, heart
Mhm.
attack, cardio arrest, and extremely serious condition where your heart stops beating. So
Mhm.
I'm reading this and I'm thinking, when they told me that if they didn't get my potassium down, that I wasn't going home, I didn't realize how serious that was until then, and even now reading that to you. I want your take on that, please.
Well, it's interesting because I take care of my mom, and at this point, we were talking about that I think on Boomerang. At this point, she is almost completely nonverbal. I mean, she when she does talk, it's mostly gibberish. But sometimes, we have those clear moments where she gets to effectively communicate. So when she is sick, one of the things she does is she shakes a lot. And at one point, especially during 2020 when the the pandemic first started, she quit eating and she wouldn't drink. She was doing this jerking. She couldn't hold her spoon. She couldn't hold her water because she was trembling so much. And when we got her to the hospital, she was in complete renal failure. And her potassium was so high, they were shocked that she was not having seizures.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that, on the one hand, I don't put a lot of salt in her food. But on the other hand, we're watching her potassium level too,
Hmm.
because every time she's hospitalized, that's one of the things that's the issue. Her potassium
Potassium.
is too high.
Mm.
So, and then she has all these issues, these other issues going on. And it's usually, in relation to her not using the bathroom. It's like her kidneys were constantly making sure that she doesn't go back into renal failure. And usually, when we take her to the hospital, to the emergency room, one of the first things that they notice is that her potassium is high. So I've got way too much experience with reading hospital reports saying high potassium levels and getting her balanced out
Hmm.
again. So yeah, William, and it's 12 o'clock. Who would have
Can't
thought
believe it.
we could?
I wish we had more time here because, but I do have. I checked with the CEO, so he said I have time to ask another question here. But let me ask.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he said it's okay. But anyway, uh, so higher or lower potassium levels has to do with your. Is that directly a result of your salt intake?
Well, basically, I won't say it's directly a result of your salt intake. It does have to do, with what you eat. I don't like. I used to give her bananas every single day. I mean, just
Okay.
about every day. I don't, and bananas are very high in potassium, so I don't give her bananas every day like I used to.
Okay.
In order to even her out. And that's another thing I want to stress for people. We talk to folks all the time about
Mm.
eating healthy, and what we teach people in our class is that you pray and ask God for the health and fitness plan that works for you, because everybody is different. So I know my mother is sensitive to potassium, so I'm not giving her bananas as often as I used to, because
Right.
she if her potassium levels get too high, she could end up, in the hospital. That doesn't
Right.
mean bananas aren't a healthy food. They are. They just aren't very healthy for her. You understand?
Or
So you
right.
need to understand what is healthy for you.
I see.
And not necessarily assume that every food is bad. Like we have had people on the program before who, because they can't do dairy, because they can't do meat, they're like, everybody needs to be vegan. No, not everybody needs a vegan lifestyle, because there are some people who are really sensitive to all the other stuff that vegans would eat. Because what are you left with if you don't eat meat? Well, you got a lot of fruits and vegetables, of course, but then there are also starches and carbohydrates and
Hmm.
breads and stuff like that. And then there are other people who, on the other end of the spectrum, are very sensitive to those things, and they end up with stuff like diabetes and obesity and stuff like that because those things don't work well with their system. So you need to know you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. What are you sensitive to? So, and that's the very first class we tell people to pray to God, to ask them, to ask him to reveal their food sensitivities as well as their weaknesses. Because a lot of people are weak because they got sweet tooth and want honey buns and cakes and pies. But then there are other things, that look healthy. I mean, some people don't know it, but they're sensitive to protein. Do you know some people can die from overeating protein?
No,
And
I didn't.
yeah, there's
Wow.
there's a small subset of people who are really sensitive to protein, and too much of it, you can basically overdose on it and die. There was a high profile case overseas where that happened. Was it Great Britain, somewhere like that? I can't remember, but this lady was on a protein diet and she ate so
Hmm.
much protein that it killed her.
Oh
Um,
no.
so you need to know what your body can handle. It's just like thinking of having an allergy. If you have an allergy to shellfish, well, fish isn't an unhealthy food. As long as you're not frying it and doing all that other crazy stuff to it to make it unhealthy, it's really good for you. Omega 3s, which are really great for your brain health as well as other stuff that you need. But if your body will swell up and you stop breathing, you know what I'm saying? Because you ate
Right.
some fish, then it's not healthy for you. I don't
Right.
care what's in it that otherwise would be good for your body. So that means you need to find another alternative. It's the same principle, folks. Just think of it in those particular terms. What works for my body and what does not.
No. Well, and this has been a great conversation. Like I said, I think it's necessary. It was necessary for me to have the conversation because a lot of times, even though you've gone through something, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you need to hear a different perspective and also talk
Right.
about it. You
Right.
know,
Right.
and talk
Right.
about it, and perhaps you won't do those things in the future. I know there are certain things that I won't do.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that I've cut out of my diet,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad for it. You know, uh, and I've learned a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
and programs. That's why programs like yours, they're so they're needed. Let's put
Right.
it like that. They're needed because we need to be reminded, folks. You may have a good day today, and you're eating whatever you want and doing whatever you want to do, but you also have to consider in the long run, what is this doing to me and or for me? Is it going
Mm-hmm.
to have a positive effect or negative effect?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that a lot of you out there young, you say, hey, look, I'm good, I'm healthy. There may become a day, and we all were young and healthy at one time,
Right. Right. Right.
but what do we do? What do we
Mm-hmm.
put in our bodies, that cause a deterioration or cause something to go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and your mind is the same thing. What are you putting in your mind? you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, with that, and speaking of that, we're going to have a lively show tomorrow on the Boomerang Radio Show,
Yeah.
and you, me, and Mad Mike,
Mhm.
Dr. Sims, Dr. Dimery. Uh,
Yes.
we're going to talk about what's going on, and so tomorrow, we're going to continue. Oh, last week we talked about the cause and effects of lying, what
Mhm.
lying does to the body. What does
Mhm.
it do to your mind?
Mm.
We're talking about things that can deteriorate your health.
Mhm.
Okay. You may not know, but the things that you put in your head can have an adverse effect on what goes on in your body, folks.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So with that, and thank you so much for inviting me on your show. Like I said, I made it
You're
to the big time.
welcome.
I can go out and brag to my friends.
Well,
I
thank you
made,
for being willing to talk about it because men don't usually like to talk, and so I appreciate the fact that you were open to kind of being a giving a warning shot to fellas, because I find men listen to other men much more willingly, much more easily than you will me saying y'all need to go have a prostate exam.
Yeah, and I'm an advocate for the PSA, folks. I'm an advocate.
Right.
All right, PSA. But anyway, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
Coming up,
you.
Teens Talk Truth radio show. Coming up with Ann's two favorite guys, AJ and Alex. And by the way, how is Alex? AJ adapting to college life?
Oh wow, he's doing really, really well. He had to come home this weekend, much to his disappointment, because he didn't like coming home. He loves being a college student. He loves being on campus, but I had to help his roommate with something, so they had to come home last night. But
You
other
bribed him.
than
That's
that,
what you did. You bribed him.
I did not. He called me. He asked for help. I told him yes, and I told him you deliver the news to AJ because I don't want him to think it was me who said he has to bring you to the house so that I can help you.
Oh boy, oh boy. What a great, two great fine men. My hats off to you and Andre for raising two fine young men,
Yes,
AJ and
praise the
Alex, two of
Lord.
my favorite guys as well. So it's time for us to step aside, and
Yep, it is. It is. But thank you again for doing this. I appreciate you being willing to share.
it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
You're
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome.
stay tuned to Teens Talk Truth right here on the Buzz. Hey, check us out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you missed this broadcast, you want to hear it again or just share it with someone, just go to studiow.buzz. You'll be up there in 24 hours. Or you can go to our YouTube channel right now, Studio W The Buzz. We're available also on Facebook, LinkedIn, uh, Alexa, Google Play, Apple CarPlay, and so forth. Hey, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. There's more to come. Studio W, we're just getting started. Enjoy your Saturday. Network. And one other thing, at 4 p.m. today, Groove Talk Radio. We're going to continue our segment on My Black History. My Black History, a brilliant collaborative put together, a collective rather, put together by my